So, welcome back to another fanfiction idea. This is another AU idea, but this one's going to be a little more interesting because this is a horror AU. Yeah, I know, we're counting down the days to Halloween, we're counting down to October, and every day we are getting closer and closer to those to that special time of the month where we get to have 31 days of all things spooky. So, anyway, so yeah, as you can see from the title, we're going to be doing a very different AU. We're going to be doing a horror-centric AU. This is going to be interesting because these are going to be characters that it's going to be like different characters you know of, but as horror icons. Like, they've become horror icons, essentially. And yeah, this kind of spawned from an idea I had that actually came from like an idea for a for a version of the dark multiverse, like from Batman, from Dark Knight's Metal. But yeah, so this kind of became its own prime idea. So here we go. We're going to talk about that. So basically, the centerpiece of this story is centered around Ford. Ford Pines in this continuity is the Sam Loomis. He is pretty much Sam Loomis. So you're wondering, well, who's Michael? In this, Danny Fenton is Michael Myers. He is the Michael Myers of the story, and he actually did kill his sister Jazz, and he was brought to a sanitarium to meet with Ford, and he became a psychiatrist, and, you know, that whole spiel. So Danny, one night, has broken out on Halloween and has gone back to Amityville and is now stalking the other characters from Danny Phantom, just no ghosts. So yeah, he is Michael Myers in this continuity. He is simply known as the Shape. So there's that. But however, there's more connection to Ford than you realize, because you see, Ford is related to a group of people who are known for hostile activity, and that is Dipper, Mabel, and Stan. Those three in this continuity are the Devil's Rejects. They are Otis, Spaulding, and Baby in this continuity. And here, they were essentially like a they were just a bunch of cannibals and killers in the sticks of Oregon. They got found out, they fled, and are now like doing a cross-country, like living out in the sticks and stuff like that, and they are essentially going around killing people as they're going on a cross-country tour, and they're also kind of after Ford for essentially, you know, for essentially being related to them and claiming like, oh, you're not sane, you know, they think they're sane, but he's not. So they're after him above all else, while Ford is also trying to capture Michael. Among other characters who are altered from this, who are in this like dark, horrible, horror-centric universe, is Alia. So Alia in this continuity is, in her story, she had fallen in love with... now, Alia in this is... her story takes place ages ago. Like, she's... like, it's still post-Civil War, and essentially she had fallen in love with a white man and got her hand cut off for touching him, replaced with a hook. You know where this is going. She is the Candyman of this universe. She's the Candyman of this universe, and Randy Cunningham is the Helen Lyle. So it's a gender-bent Candyman story between the two, where he is her Helen Lyle, and she wants him to be her victim because specifically she's after him not only because he said her name 5 times in the mirror, but the other reason is because the Cunningham family was the one, and the person she'd fallen in love with was Randy's ancestor, and that's basically what he is. It's like he's the descendant of the person who not only she had fallen in love with, but also from the family who had lynched her and murdered her, and made her into the monster she is today. So, the other thing is that rather than bees, in her backstory, she was actually not only lynched, had her hand cut off or replaced with a hook, she was also tied to a tree, to a dead tree, and left to rot there for days. And what had come to eaten off of her corpse were foxes. So in the dead of night, like, you would hear, like, more or less, instead of bees surrounding her, it's foxes. So foxes in here are more like, it's kind of like more like the Japanese kitsune foxes, where they're, you know, you see them 1 second, they're gone, or they're like spirits, something like this. So it's more like that. As for others, you have a more classic take of a more classic monster in here, and that is the Phantom of the Opera. The Phantom of the Opera here, and I've talked about this before, but this is the more updated one, where the Phantom is Marinette, and in this continuity, she is a deformed, she was a ballerina who was hit with acid by a rival, Lila. Yeah, Lila was the rival ballerina. She threw acid in Marinette's face and deformed her. Basically, Marinette fled to the bowels of the Paris Opera House, and now covets Adrian Agreste as a masked mad woman. As for others, you have trying to remember who else was in here and got the horror treatment. Sorry, my mind went blank for a second. Like, I legit forgot, like, who else I had in here for a second. Oh yeah, now I remember. So, you're probably wondering, well, where are some other characters? Like, where's Leatherface? So, Leatherface is actually Seuss, and Seuss is actually with the Planter family, who the Planter family in here are they're human. They're human, and they live in Texas. They're the Sawyer family. They just took Seuss in because he was like this huge, hulking, like, just weirdo who was like on the side of the road killing and eating people. So they're like, hey, you're part of the family, cuz. And also, I imagine Sprig would be more like... Sprig in here would be more like Chop Top than he would be Nubbins. And, of course, Pop would... You know, Hot Pop would be more like Drayton. But Seuss, yeah, is Leatherface. For others, you have Anne, who is Sadako. She is or Samara, if you want to go with that route. In this storyline of how she became this universe's, you know, Samara, was that she was more or less like studying black magic for fun, and then her mother, who was crazy, thought she was like actually summoning Satan and whatever, murdered her and threw her down a well. And yeah, you know how that played out. you kind of figured out like how well that works out for her. As for others, you have who was it? You have Ida in this continuity, who is actually the tall man. Ida is this continuity's tall man, because in this one, she is more or less like a funeral director who the funeral parlor is known as the Owl House, and instead of like the silver ball, she has like silver metallic owls around her. Instead of like the silver ball, she can actually like create like kind of like a more weaponized version of Bubo from Clash of the Titans. Like, imagine Bubo, but like he could shoot like spikes out of him, or the feathers could throw like knives. Like like I said, a more weaponized version of Bubo. So I thought that would be just like a fun take on it. And also, Luz is I guess you could say like the girl that Ida is after. Who else did I have in this continuity? I hate it. I need to, like, I know some people suggest like maybe you should write stuff down, but like I think about it and then I forget about writing it down. So here I am struggling to remember stories, story ideas. Yeah. So, who else was there? Yeah, now I remember. So, In this, actually, I remember now that I did have Maniac Cop. I at least had Maniac Cop. So in this continuity, Maniac Cop is Marco Diaz. So Marco was a good cop. He was a decent human being who, in this story, caught wind of a corrupt circuit of police officers racketeering like low-level income communities. He reported it to his chief, but the police chief was in on it. They executed him, burned his body, and threw his body in a river. And that didn't really keep him dead. I know that's not the exact story of Matthew Cordell from Maniac Cop, but like this is an alternate version. So there you go. I know, like, no Chucky, no Jason, no Freddy. Yeah, I couldn't think of good ideas for them. I know, I thought of good ideas for Phantasm and Maniac Cop, and not for Child's Play, Friday the 13th, or Nightmare on Elm Street. But I'll leave that up to you. I thought this actually was the other reason I wanted to do this video, is because, hey, this could be fun. Like, maybe, like, I'd love to see what other horror icons can be made from characters. So you guys tell me in the comments below, what do you guys think of this idea, and what other characters could you see and what kind of versions could they be of classic horror icons? Just comment below, let me know, and once again, as always, I have a Patreon. If you haven't already, go subscribe to my Patreon, and if you do where you can get exclusive videos, like my Who Would Win videos, those are going to be exclusive on there. The crossover couples are going to be exclusive on there. And a few other exclusive content, so you can go hit that link. And if you do the 4th tier, you guys can request for Patreon videos. So yeah, just once again, just hit the link below, and once again, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.